Welcome to Anything You Want, the home of stories that touch the soul, reveal the unseen, and bring you closer to the stars you adore. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap that join button to support us even more. Today, we dive into one of the most emotional revelations to come from Turkish cinema's most beloved actor, Gökberk Demirci, a confession that has reignited memories, stirred hearts, and made the world pause to listen. When Gökberk Demirci sat down for what seemed like an ordinary magazine interview in Istanbul, no one could have anticipated the emotional storm that would follow. Known for his calm composure, his quiet charisma, and the subtle depth that defines both his characters and his real-life persona, Gökberk revealed a side of himself that audiences had long suspected but never witnessed so openly. The headline that emerged from that day, "True love only happens once," was not merely a phrase. It was a revelation, a whisper of the soul, a sentence that echoed across continents and languages, sparking a collective sense of longing in millions of hearts. His tone, as those present described, was unlike anything they had ever heard from him. The humor that once guarded his interviews was gone, replaced by a stillness, a rare calm that only surfaces when someone has finally made peace with their own truth. He spoke softly, but with the weight of memory pressing behind every word. And when he uttered that single line about love, true love, the kind that changes your perspective, you only experience it once, the silence that followed felt sacred. Even the journalist interviewing him confessed that for a moment, it was as though time had paused, suspended in the melancholy of remembrance. Of course, for fans who have followed Gökberk's journey, it didn't take long for his words to be linked to one person, Özge Yağız. The two had lived a love story that transcended the screen, one that began on the set of The Promise and blossomed into a relationship that enchanted an entire generation. Their chemistry wasn't manufactured, it radiated authenticity, a rare spark that turned fiction into reality. And now, hearing Gökberk speak with such raw emotion, fans couldn't help but wonder, was he talking about her? Within minutes of the interview's publication, social media became a living current of emotion. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok filled with clips, edits, and heartfelt captions. Hashtags like #Gökberk talks about Özge and #TrueLove exploded across Turkey, Spain, and Latin America. Fans dissected his every gesture, the slight tremor in his voice, the nostalgic gaze, the way his lips softened when he said just once. To some, it was an admission. To others, a confession too painful to fully name. And yet, beneath all the speculation lay something purer? A universal truth that every listener recognized. It wasn't about one couple anymore, it was about the love everyone remembers, the one that reshapes who we are long after it ends. But Gökberk's interview wasn't just about longing. It was about evolution. It was about a man who has walked through the noise of fame and emerged with a deeper understanding of himself. "Sometimes fame steals what you love most," he admitted. A sentence that cut through the glossy surface of celebrity life like a blade of truth. He wasn't speaking in bitterness, but in reflection, in the tone of someone who has learned to look back without anger. The actor went on to discuss the price of living under constant attention, how a relationship can crumble not from lack of love, but from the exhaustion of being watched. "Every story leaves something valuable," he said. "In the end, what matters isn't how long it lasted, but how much it transformed you." It was this maturity, this serene wisdom, that made the interview more than just tabloid fuel. It became a mirror for everyone who has loved deeply, lost quietly, and learned to move forward without resentment. Fans across continents felt seen. While Gökberk's confession took over headlines, Özge Yağız chose silence. But silence, as her followers know, has always been her most eloquent language. Days after the interview, she shared a series of soft-toned photographs on social media, each accompanied by reflective captions about peace, destiny, and gratitude. One of them read, "Some things don't need explanation, they are felt, cherished, and appreciated." For her fans, and for those who still believe in the timeless connection between these two souls, the message was unmistakable. It was not an answer, but an echo. Not a declaration, but a whisper back into the same emotional space that Gökberk had opened. Two people, once united by a story that millions adored, seemed to be speaking again, not through words, but through something far deeper, shared silence. As the interview spread, the internet transformed his words into something poetic. Edits of the promise resurfaced, set against melancholic music and lines from Gökberk's interview. Millions watched, commented, and cried. Turkish and Latin American news outlets published their own interpretations. Vogue Turkey praised his emotional honesty, while People in Espanol called him the actor who dared to bare his soul. Writers, artists, and fellow celebrities joined the conversation. They spoke of the courage it takes to be vulnerable in a world that rewards perfection. "He's not acting anymore," one columnist wrote, "he's living truthfully, and that's what makes him so magnetic." In another segment of the interview, Gökberk explored what it means to love authentically in an age obsessed with appearances. "True love," he said, "isn't measured by the number of photos or headlines. It's found in those moments when you can be yourself, without fear of judgment." Those words resonated deeply, especially with younger fans growing up in a digital culture where affection often performs for an audience. Gökberk's reflection became a message for a generation. Love should not be a spectacle. It should be a sanctuary. In public life, happiness is often faked, he explained. But real connection only happens when you love without filters, without masks. It's rare for a celebrity to dismantle the very illusion that sustains fame, but Gökberk did it with grace. His message was clear: you can't love honestly if you're always performing. For years, audiences have seen Gökberk Demirci as a flawless leading man, handsome, talented, untouchable. But in that single conversation, he stripped away the myth and replaced it with humanity. He spoke not as an idol, but as a man who has stumbled, who has felt the ache of distance, and who still chooses to see beauty in imperfection. That honesty transformed public perception. He is no longer just an actor admired for his roles, he is now seen as a storyteller of his own truth. His vulnerability has become his greatest strength, and his words, a refuge for those who have loved and lost. True love only happens once. What began as a sentence in an interview has now become a mantra, a shared sentiment whispered in countless languages. It transcends gossip. It reaches into something far more universal, the eternal human wish to hold on to that one love that shapes everything after. Gökberk Demirci didn't speak from regret, but from gratitude, gratitude for having known a love profound enough to leave a mark that time cannot erase. He reminded the world that even when love becomes memory, its light continues to guide us forward. And as we close today's story here on Anything You Want, we invite you, our beautiful community, to share your thoughts below. Do you believe true love happens only once? Or can the heart find its way more than once in a lifetime? Let's talk about it in the comments. If you felt something while listening to Gökberk's story, hit that like button, subscribe to Anything You Want, and tap the join button to support us in bringing you more stories that reveal the hearts behind the fame. Because here, we don't just tell celebrity news, we tell the human stories behind the stars.